say YouTube. What's going on, man? Back at it again with another video. You already know it's your boy Numbers Fan Jay. I got my little brother with me today. What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan. Are you sure that's your name?
Yes,
Okay. I was just making sure.
I am sure.
All right. So what are we gonna talk about today?
Game 2 and 3.
Yeah. Game 2 and 3. So last time we talked was game 1 after the Warriors lost in Toronto. Since then, the Warriors have won in Toronto and they have lost their first game at home, giving up the home court advantage back to Toronto. So with game 3 being as pivotal as it is, it's only right to make another YouTube video at this time. So let's go ahead and get into some analysis over game 2 and game 3. Game 2 proved that the Warriors don't really need KD to beat the Raptors. They outshot the Raptors without him. They shot 46% from the field to the Raptors 37% from the field. From the three-point line, the Warriors shot 38% to the Raptors 28%. That was the biggest takeaway from game 2. The biggest takeaway from game 3 was that Leonard being the primary scorer isn't going to be enough to beat the Warriors. In game 1, he was 5 for 14 for 23 points. Siakam had 32. Gasol had 20. They won that game. In game 2, he was 8 for 20 for 34 points. Nobody else had 20 points. They lost that game. In game 3, he was 9 for 17 for 30 points. Lowry had 23. Green had 6 threes for 18 points. So his supporting cast is more important than him just scoring a lot of points. That's the biggest takeaway from game 3. Now the 3 biggest takeaways this far to this point in the series have to start off with one being the Raptors have to shoot lights out to win. In game 1, they shot 50%. In game 3, they shot 52%. They won both of those games. In game 2, they shot just 37%, which is just not gonna cut it. They're gonna have to shoot better offensively than they are used to shooting in this postseason in order to beat the Warriors in this series. Second takeaway, the Warriors have to get more assists or less turnovers, or both, in order to win these games. In game 2, the assist to turnover ratio was 34 to 15, which is about 2-1. Neither one of the other 2 games have been 2-1 in terms of assist to turnover ratio. As we talked about, the Raptors defense is very, very stifling. At times they can force you into droughts, as we saw in game 3, as well as we saw in game 1 too. But the third and biggest takeaway that I've seen, especially in game 3, is switching on screens. So the Warriors don't do well in going over or going under the screen. They usually get stuck in between for whatever reason. And you have to give the Raptors credit for this, of taking advantage of that, especially in this last game. For example, Steph will be guarding someone like Danny Green, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, point guard, shooting guards, around that area. He would get screened by people like Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, aka Spicy Pete. And when they get that screen, they get the switch. So Iguodala or Draymond Green ends up coming up to guard the guard instead of staying back on the big man. This gives a height and weight advantage to the player that Steph is guarding, which is easy money in the NBA. So when they got them the ball, they scored almost all the time. When they got Kawhi Leonard or Pascal Siakam the ball with Steph guarding them, they scored at a very high percentage. Anyone who's watching the game can tell you that once they got them the ball, it was pretty much a done deal, because at this point, they're closer to the basket. They're not sitting at the three-point line asking for the ball. They're not pick and pop. They're pick and rolling. So that's been the biggest takeaway that I've seen in the past 2 games. Isn't Steph your favorite player?
Yes,
Why is he your favorite player?
because he can shoot threes.
Because he can shoot threes. Well, he shot In game 3, he shot 6 threes, but Danny Green shot 6 threes too. So you just like Steph better, huh?
Yes.
Well, you heard it here first. It's your boy Jay, man, and little bro Ryan. We out of here.